Hey, welcome back to Photoshop. Today, we're going to go over the three new projects that are assigned to you. One of them, the first one that I'll go over is kind of original, and it's what we're doing. The other two, for the most part, besides like kind of like one following the text rules and doing some of this, it's all about layers and layer masks and learning layer masks. Layer masks, I think, are probably the number one used item in Photoshop. And it's like the hot new thing to do. And it's like, you're doing this double exposure and stuff like that. But it's all about layer masks. Once you discover them and once you know how to use them, and it doesn't take long. It's just a little click. It's a little click. And hopefully by the end of next week or something, but you'll be doing this for the rest of the semester, quarter, and you'll be doing it from here on out. Is you'll realize, okay, this is how you do it. And I'll talk more about it as I go. Hopefully we have three projects. I'll spend about 20 minutes on each one and give you some ideas. Now, we'll go into this first one. And this is the real world project. And I got a toy car here. And I want you to change the color of the toy car 5 different times. It's yellow now. I think it's red, blue, green, orange, violet. I believe those are colors. Double check the assignment. But you need to change the color of the car. And just kind of like going off the cuff, if somebody were to say this to you, and because I know Photoshop, I've got 3 ideas I could possibly do to change the color of the car. Now, there's also the stuff that we need to look at when we change the color of the car. One is we got to make sure highlights, shadows. We got some yellow showing behind here. We've got chrome. We got some maybe yellow on the chrome we should pay attention to. We don't want to necessarily just block it out and color everything. How do the highlights look? How do the lowlights look? Are there color changes within the color? Just kind of inspect that stuff. Look at it deeply. And then we think, well, I need to change the color. So initially I'm just going to I'll just pick blue because it's really different. And I'm just going to pick a blue color. And that's just in my palette there. And kind of like the first thing I would do. And this isn't always the first one. Just because I did it doesn't mean it's right. I want everybody to try different things and experiment. Photoshop is like painting. And everybody has their own tricks. And you may be working with one way, somebody teaches you one way. You go online and find a different way. I'm going to show you a couple ways, but is there a correct way? No, the correct way is getting a believable Photoshop product, right? That's what we're looking for. So first thing is like, I'm going to double up. I always just want to double up. I'll make a double up of that so I don't ruin it. And I'm going to maybe get the car, and maybe even for this sake, I'm going to copy and paste it so I have it alone too. And it did an all right job cutting it out. And then, well, first thing, what if I go to adjustments, right? We've played with adjustments before. And if I try hue and saturation, and make sure it only does it to the layer, and then I start to mess around. Well, right here, I get a lot of good work going on, right? There's a perfect way to do it. The problem with this is if you're color matching and you want something, you have to be very careful in your color matching that like, oh, is everything the same? I want it to be the same color. But this is a very easy way to do that. And I'm checking all the parts and pieces and it's looking pretty good. I think the only flaw is maybe happening with these little lights. And that's a great way to do it. And I took it out of its context to help me just see it alone. And that's why I did that. So then that's a way to do it. And then we just, what did I say? I was going to do blue. And I can tell like there's one thing happening I don't like, and it's kind of purpleizing some of it. If you hit colorize, you can see what it does. It kind of changes it. It starts just changing everything instead of just changing the color. I don't ever really mess with those. But there you go. There's a way to do it. And then I'm going to go back to layers. Now, if there was something I wanted to fix here, this is the mask. And I should be able to go in and paint those out. So I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to pick a brush, as we do. And I'm going to make sure the brush is appropriate sized. Go small. And if the mask is white, I want to paint black on it to erase. And I just do this. I want to make sure those turn signals are a different color. And this is the start. You know, I wasn't even really thinking this one would be about masks. Now, if you go too far and start exposing yellow, well, then you just flip it to painting in white and you go back. And you put back the mask, or you took it off. Because I don't want any yellow showing through. And then I go over here, and I got to do that guy. So I'm going to go back to black. And again, why is he doing black and white? The mask works between black and white and grays. You can do soft. You can have like it take off a little bit of mask or a lot of bit of mask. And I'll show that later in some of the other ones. So there I go. And then I place it back in. And there I have a blue car. By far the simplest way. Might be a little harder sometimes with color matching, but give it a shot. Now I got that guy cut out. Sometimes what probably the old time is you could do this idea of, I'm going to turn those off, is I'm going to take this layer and go to image, mode, and I should be able to just grayscale that layer. Oh, nope. I want to do layer. Okay, maybe I won't do the black and white version. They may have removed it. Because another one that people have done, and I've had to do in certain situations, which I can just take this out. So I can just take a new image. So I would take a brand new image. So if I take this background and I go copy, file, new, and sometimes you have to do this dancing. I copied, oh, and this is so great to know. This is something I do all the time. I need to work in another document, but I want one document open and I need some parts from it and other parts. If I go to that background layer and I simply make sure it's on and I hit copy and I go to create a new file, this first one that comes up is called clipboard, and that creates a new document the exact size of what I copied. And I do this all the time. And then I hit create and paste. And there it goes in. It's the exact same size. If I zoom this in, turn this on, okay, turn that up. And I go to like full size, and I go to full size. Like there, it's the same photo. So I do this a lot of times to like, oh, I need to do something here. And then I can go to image. Well, I should, I'm going to cut out the car. Because I just want the car black and white. And I'm going to do the copy paste. Then I can grab that one. Well, and then I go to image, mode, grayscale. Don't flatten. Discard. Now I have a black and white copy of that car, and I can copy, and I should be able to go over here and go to edit, paste special, paste in place, and it placed that car, that gray car, right in place on there. So now it's grayscale, and I could do stuff like I can do color overlays and see how that looks. Color overlay. I want it to be, let's do red. And then instead of blend mode, hit OK. I can start doing like darken, multiply, you know, and see if any of these work. And then you can go, if I go to multiply, and then you can change the opacity of it. And this one, doing this, though it works, as you can tell, is far less dynamic. It looks like a cutout, but I think it looks kind of cool. You know, like it has a purpose, maybe in a design, and it looks kind of cool if I was going for a special, different sort of effect. And then on this layer, I should be able to then like do stuff. If I want the wheels to not reflect that, I can go to layer, layer mask, reveal all, and then paint some parts out. Make that brush bigger. And, you know, I'm doing that quick. There's a better ways to do it. But, you know, like if I wanted all this to not be like that. But this is when you play around and you try different things, you get different effects that you may be like later on be like, I remember this one time I was messing around and I did it to grayscale and it looked cool. Like whatever I did created this effect. And that's what a lot of Photoshop is. How do you do it? I can kind of give you steps, but again, I'm doing this quick. So the blue showing through. But it's all about like just playing around. You know, maybe I do want it to look, you know, like kind of old timey, like kind of flat. I sort of like, there's nothing wrong. I guess there's nothing wrong with that, depending on what the client wants and what your end idea is, you know. So you get that's, you know, spot on perfect. This is a stylized version of that. Still works. It's just a stylized version. Adjustment, and then that's kind of like the overlay. The other one, I don't know if this will work as well. So I got my car. Make another copy of it. I mean, this is exactly the same as putting the color overlay on that. So I don't really need to show that one. I think I don't want to show that one because it's the same. It would just be like singling out the car and then putting a full color overlay using a mask setup. But that's the way to do it. And then it's the way to think about it. Like, how can I get across? Because there's going to be objects that sometimes don't look right if you do it one way. And so then you have to pivot and shift and be like, okay, I need to do it a different way. And how am I going to do that? Did this turn off? Oh, that's why. So play around with that, have some fun. Of course, I show you the quickest way you can snap it down, but you know, always know that there's like other ways to get different effects. You know, stylized effects. And this will come up. This will come up. You'll have like duotoning and all this other stuff where you want to make it look like somebody put a wash of color on something. It will come up. I think we'll do a project later in the quarter that will be working with something similar to this. So play around. It's that hue adjustment, get them good, 5 different colors, and it's all about experimentation. I can give you this, you know, recommendations, but then look around, see what else is out there, filters, all sorts of stuff. So play around with that a little bit. Let us go to this one. Don't save. Yeah, let's do this one. All right, so this is the new one that everybody's doing. It's called double exposure. It's one image on top of another. It's based off of this old system of like back with film cameras, you could take a picture and then pull the film backwards in the camera and take another picture of something else on the same piece of film, and it's called a double exposure. There are 1,000 examples of this. Oh, let me go back. Sorry, guys. I do have one thing to talk about colorization. Why would you ever need to colorize stuff like that? Crocs, the classic clog. This 90% of the time is the same image. And somebody, they did the white clog, and they're like, colorize it and make it all our colors. And it's just the easy way to do it. This pink, it's the same bottom. That pink, same bottom. Click to this one, and a lot of it is just like somebody sitting there and masking it and changing one clog to all the different colors. Like there's even artifacting down here and in there. So, like, oh, why would I ever have to do that? Because you have a client who has, one product and they want it in 6 different colors, but they don't have all 6 different colors to give you. I'm selling a toy car and we have the yellow one, but we need it in 3 different colors, 4 different colors. Oh, okay, I gotcha. I can make this in the 4 different colors you want. And they'll double check it and make sure it looks good. Oh, the red's not red enough, the pink's not pink enough. And then you just make those adjustments. So that's why you would do that. If you look up, like, for this project, just like double exposure. You'll see like all of these, like, ooh, this is kind of what it is. Like this was so extreme, but it's just combining 2 photos into one photo and trying to sort of make them so they both are at the same level. I didn't want to do a person for some reason. I was like, I'll do something different. And I was like, oh, I'll do a puffin and like a melting glacier and it's losing its habitat and it's all sad. I didn't maybe pull the best image for this, but it all comes down to layers and layer masks and just kind of playing around. I'm going to save this file. I'm going to save a copy of this. Save as. Hey. Save. So what you're going to do is you're going to find yourself an image. All right. And then I put on an overlay. Oh, and then I made a black and white one. Oh, that doesn't affect it. So I made a black and white image, and you can pull that out. You'll eventually have to change this to black and white. I just showed you how to change it to black and white. If you're fine with that, you can bring in your images, change them to black and white, and then change it back to color, because then you can do some cool stuff later on. So you're not always working in black and white. But I found my images, opened them in a different file. Just I did that copy paste. So I take this. This is my image. I copied it. I don't have my original puffin. File, new, clipboard, create. I pasted it in. Image mode, grayscale. I can flatten it, discard. Then I'm just going to do copy and then edit, paste special, paste in place. Oh, it didn't take it. Let's try that again. Oh, do I have to? Oh, okay. Sorry, it had to open. an open dialog box on a different page. Paste in place. There's my grayscale. Easy peasy. That's what you do. Then you can start playing like with opacities and different items. I've got my puffin. Let's bring him, you know, the puffin, turn him on, and I'll bring the opacity to 100. So this is what I started with. Making sure everything is off. I don't know why he's showing through. Oh, I already have this on darken color. Normal. I think I feel like I should have made him bigger. So let's do it. All right. So now I have my grayscale. I'm going to turn this off so I don't see that anymore. And I got this one turned on. 100%. Now you can start to play with layering and like starting to remove stuff, add stuff from each of these. And what I do is I start copying and pasting and making more of them and playing around with the layer masks. So I'm going to hide, like all those are gone. And I'm just working with, you know, background, foreground. Now, first thing I do is like, okay, I want, yeah, it's really kind of reversed. I wish his head was like on a glacier. I should have picked a better shot, but whatever. But I can blend him in. Like, oh, I want him to be coming out of the glaciers down here. So I'm going to go to layer, layer mask, reveal all. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Like with the brushes that you can use, I go in and I find a big blurry brush, hardness 0, and you can go up pretty big, like 100 point, and it'll show correctly on your screen when you do it. I want even bigger. And I'm just going to go in and sometimes I just tap like really lightly, you know, like, and you can bring him out. And this is still like way too sharp. I want it even softer. I want this soft gradation so that if the brush isn't working, you can go all the way back and let's try a gradient. Let's go one more. And I'm watching that. Let's do this. So right there. But you know what I can do? I can put a gradient on that. So the black to white gradient will work. And so if I maybe drag up, you can kind of see in real life what's happening. Oh, there we go. And I hold down shift. But then I can play in there. I'm not done. I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to make it big again. And then I'm also on the brush. I'm going to put my opacity down to 50. Not 1, 50. And then I can like go back in and like choose white. And I want to bring out just the edge of him here a little bit more, you know, like, and bring it right down that glacier. And you see like what I'm doing right in this little box. And you just kind of get at the form where you want. Like make him just a little bit more part of that. Oh, my puffin, he's losing. And then I could, you know, like if I bring that out, I can then just reverse that and be like, oh, I went too far. I want to take some of this out. And then maybe like really emphasize the inside. You know, like, oh, his land is lost. My poor puffin. You know, and it's just playing with these layers. And then it'd be like, you know, like should I accentuate the glaciers in there? And I can, you know, do a duplicate of this, bring it on top, and then do the reverse. Like maybe I really want to bring that out, but in a different way. So I'm going to do layer mask. I always do reveal all. There's a hide all. It just is kind of the opposite. And then, you know, I can go back in and then like still work this guy, you know, like maybe, you know, maybe I do want like a little more ethereal feel to him. And I do want to, you know, bring some stuff out. Like really pinpoint this eye. Really feel it. And then, you know, like, okay, then like, what if I do like, try some like, you know, overlay, darken, like, you know, like, you know, like, what is that doing? And it's more ominous. I'm just playing around, you know, like, what can I do? And I go in and that painted the color. Make sure you're on the mask when you do it. Otherwise you do what I did. Now bring out that beak a little bit more, you know, like zoom in, you know, on each, you know, let's really bring out the beak. So that's good. And then I'm on it here. I'm going to do white and, you know. And it's all about subtlety and what you're doing. And then, you know, and then I was talking and, you know, like, and this is what else, you know, like, can you remove stuff? Do you add stuff? You know, like we're making sure like there's no sky in his face, but then he fades down and, you know, it's like all those double exposure systems and like fill in where you want and remove what you want. And then you can do like rad stuff. Like if I want to make it, it's like global warming, go down to 25, you know, like now I made that like black and white. Now it's warm and I'm feeling bad for my puffin friend. But it's all about playing around with the layer mask, adding and blending and painting and taking and putting in and taking out and trying layers. Like on it, like I can't express how many times, like if you do something, you know what, then just for, you know, like you call it shits and giggles, just take it and make another copy of it and then be like, oh, what if I put it up there? Oh, what does that do? Darkens the background a little bit more. Like that's what people do. Like, oh, what if I put it here? And then I turn it on and off. You know, what if I put it here and turn it on and off? Like, what are the changes that are happening? And why? I don't know. I'm just trying stuff out. I'm just playing around. And maybe there's something there that I know my assignment is to do this double exposure with a background image and a foreground image. And it's where do you stop and where do you just like, I'm just going to play for a while. I want to work on this and I really want this to come out. I want to, because I got a couple more minutes on this one, like show you the effects, I guess, a little bit more of what I'm doing and like how it's working. So I'm going to take this background copy. I'm going to do this 100. So this is the open, because I was already layering and it might be like, wait, what are you doing to it? I'm going to turn on this layer 2. I'm going to make sure this is just set to normal. And anything I remove is going to turn orange. So background copy, layer. Am I in the right one? Layer mask, reveal all. I have a brush. Oh, and you can do it with anything. If I draw this and I go to edit, fill, and I go to black and I hit OK, it goes to my color. All right. Anything that knocks out of this mask will go to that. But then it allows me to go back in and fix it. I never lose the image behind it. So when I paint black and I'm like, I don't want this part of the image, I can erase it. I got it set on 50%. So it takes some time. And that's another one. I love, like it's not about heavy handedness. That's set at a 50% opacity for my, if I do 100, you're set like, psh, 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 it's done. But then you have to go back and adjust. I'd rather take like kind of like these baby steps. And then, I'm all about like seriously like the big brush and just like bringing it in and like feathering it and playing around. But everywhere I did that, all it's doing is removing the image. But I can just then put it back. So I can adjust it and be like, oh, you know what I did there? I want it back in there. So I'm going to go, oh, fuck. 100. And then I'm going to, get that back filled in because I didn't like what I did. And of course, this is a really sloppy way. I'm just showing you like the way the mask works is it's erasing and adding. And there's so much. It's like, I don't think I ever go into Photoshop without using a layer mask to do something. It's just like, oh, I got two things. I got to blend them together. Like I can blend two scenes together halfway through using a layer mask. We did this before. Give me 1 second. Download. Oh, I should do that one. No, do this one. Download. I changed my mind last second. Adobe Photoshop. All right. Is another like you can do this, like, oh. And move it up like here. And instead of me cutting out, like sitting there and trying like, oh, I'll, use this, the image thing. I can just go and just do layer mask, reveal all. And then I want another paintbrush and just start taking it out. I get it, like, because then I can get it where I want it. And I'll go back and forth with this. Like right now, I'm finding the glacier. And then I'll just reverse it. And then I'll go in tight, flip it to white brush, make it smaller. And then like, and you can make it tight, like I'd go in and tighten it up. Make sure I'm not going over stuff. Maybe use a selection tool. But I'm just trying to show you like why the layer masks are like really good. Oh, here, like that, I'll have to go and adjust, but this is why you use them. And you can combine images like that and have it work a little bit better. So there's thousands of ways to use the layer mask, and then that's how you work with this double exposure idea of just developing like, what parts do I want to accentuate? What don't I want to accentuate? What do we want to see? What's the feeling behind it? All those things, like that's what Photoshop is about. I have this idea and I want to get it across to my viewers because somebody asked me to do an article, like they're writing an article on melting glaciers, or like I could be like, what if I brought this down? Like melting glaciers on the snow cap and there's an aurora behind us. Like this is what you can do in Photoshop. So, and that's the power of the layers. So let's see you have some heartfelt, double exposure. I mean, in the end, this is messing around, but it's effective and it looks good. You know, it's not, I'm not worried about like cut out edges. I didn't just simply like just, use the cutout puffin paste. Like, I worked them in, massaged them in. What did I want showing? What's the emphasis? What's the focal point? So have some fun. Have some fun. And again, it's sort of like, just always know I can undo. I can start over. I can make layers. I try this layer. What if I duplicate that layer and do it again and again and try some more stuff? So give the double exposure a shot. All right, moving on. This one may be a little tough to follow in the beginning. There's a new thing to teach you. And it's within the layers, and it's creating a layer group. So there's the background and there's the step through. There's a whole process of just kind of following the instructions. Open a file, make a gradient, add an overlay, add another overlay. And it's just like seeing what you can do. And it's all in the steps of the project. Just like step 1, do this. What does it do? Step 2, do this. What does it do? Step 3, do this. And then you're building on that to understand, like when I do this, it affects the image this way. I should always, and start to remember, I want to do this look, or I did it once before, and I know if I add a color overlay in this way, this is what happens, and I can use that in the future to affect stuff. So that's what we're working with. Now, at some point, they're going to ask you to group the text and make a grouping of it. Because when you start to work in maybe say 30, 40, 50 layers, sometimes having everything together just makes it easier. And it's a very simple, it's a one trick pony. So I'll call this part upper flames. So all I'm going to do is go to that hamburger menu on my layers, click on it, and click group, new group. They don't call them folders as they should. New group. Or if you like the idea of just being like, it's a folder, go down here and click the folder, which is to me the easier one than going to the hamburger and being like, where is it again? So you can just click on that little folder and know it's going to make a folder. Now the folder has nothing in it, and it has this little arrow, open, close, open, close. And even when it's open, it looks like the folders, like that file folder is open. I know it's very hard to see on probably some of these screens, but it does open and close. It's very cute. And then I can just grab all of my layers. So I'm going to grab, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to grab all those. They turn a lighter gray, and I can just grab and pull. And see the box goes from blue underneath to blue all the way around and let go. And then I can close that. And I could call that like upper flames. And then when I turn them all on, it's all good. And if I close that, I can just turn them all on and off at once. It's a way when you are working with something and you're working deep into a Photoshop file and you have like a lot of stuff going on, it's a great way to just be like, I need to reduce, and I know all my text is here and I'm not going to be messing with it much. I can just grab my 5 layers of text, make them into a group or a folder, which I like to call it, and just set them up and be done. Otherwise, like your file would look like this. And then you're scrolling through lots of layers. So that's a great one. And again, I would use this one down here, that folder, because it is what it is. They call it a group, but they make it a folder. Why? I don't know why. Somebody was like, oh, we'll change the name of it. Now, again, with this project, once you get this part done, and it can be a little different. It should look very similar to this. I want to see gradients. I want to see the drop shadow. Like, it should look very close to this. You should be able to follow the instructions. And you can hit me up if it's not working right. Be like, what am I missing at this point? Because it's introducing some weird things. Contact me. Just let me know. And we have all until next week. But this is just like the penguin, the puffin. I want to add some flames to this. Now I included some flames. Let me just find the worst one. Okay, it's not the worst one, but it's the one that I want you guys to think about. All right, there it is. I'll make it smaller. And then, oh, no, because we want to do something different. This was the cool part. I apologize. I do not want to open it into that. No. Delete. Yes. I get excited. I get ahead of myself. Open with Photoshop. All right, so I have this cool flame, and I need to open it in a new file, because what I'm going to do is do something new. And I'm going to use the, find it. No, I want to use Window Channels. All right, so channels separate stuff out. And here it is in RGB. If I turn these off, come on, let me turn them off. It is showing me how much of each one is there. So how many blue pixels are turned on, how many green are turned on, and how many red are turned on. Now what I want to do is you can do, remember how you learned how to go onto a file and have it cut out using the layer? You can do the same thing here. I can make sure I'm on red. It's the brightest one. And if I go to option, oh, I want the brightest one. Click the run. And I click on it. It's gonna grab. So I held down command and I clicked on that. It's gonna click on the most of that color. So see what it's doing? It's grabbing most of the bright stuff and letting some of that other stuff go away. You can try it here as well. Oh, Control D. But it grabs less, I see. So I want to be on the red and I want to do that selection. And then that's in channels. And I want it to specifically grab stuff. And then if I go to layers in here, I can copy, then go to my Photoshop layer and paste. Oh, I pasted make sure they're all on. I pasted only the channel. So here, then when I pasted, it pasted the flame. See how it did that? I'll do it again. But see how it's see-through and gorgeous and like it's all there. So you go to you open your flame. I'll open a new one. Got it here. I go to Window, Channels, find the brightest channel, which is red for me. I'm going to Command, click. So, see that thing that comes up, that selection tool? And I'm going to click on the preview. And then I'm going to turn them all on, go to RGB. I'm going to copy and then paste. And there I have my flame. See through in all. Looks gorgeous. Now, I'm going to turn on this one. This one I said didn't look good. It's not that it doesn't look good, but it's got a flat top and a flat bottom. And I don't want, this is the stuff for now. We're going to start sizing, and we're going to make a ton of these and just start playing and which ones look best where and how can I fade them. So like this has a flat edge. So it can only work in so many spots. So you have to start thinking like, where do I want that? How do I want it on the image? Like everybody, you know, like the first thing is you're like, oh, I want to make it look like it's coming out of the T. You know, you could do that. That's a way to do it. You know, like, oh, okay, great. That was your solution. It looks like the T is on fire. Let's turn off the show transfer. Like, but does that sort of really look like the T is on fire? Or, you know, like, can we do more to that? So I'm going to go Z. I want it big again. And what I want to do is I want to make it look like the T is on fire. And so I'm going to make it small. And then I'm going to think about like, okay, I want the T. I really like the upper part of the flame. And then this is just one. And I'd make like 5 of these, like do a bunch of these now. I got it at a good size. And then I'm going to hide them. Like put them far away so I don't see them. Turn them off. And then what am I going to do? Layer mask, reveal all. And I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to start painting. And like, let's bring it into that. Let's make that T like. And I'm just tapping, and it's bursting out. And then I'm going to go on this, and I'm going to check them. Which do you know, like, are any of these? Oh, you know, like that may be the cool. Oh, it changed the color. You know what? Like, well, what if I do one lighten and then I take another one? Well, one that's, you know, does it do anything? And then I'm going to take one and then one screen. How does it affect it? And what if I change the opacity to 50? You know, I'll go to 25. So now I'm changing that original flame to something much different and much lighter. And like, it doesn't have all that extra background on it anymore that the original did. I'll bring this one up. You can see what I did. You know, like, so I went from this where, see all that, you know, dark, even though it's great and it's a start, it's not the final point. I can take just that and then start to do this. Where now it's really starting to look like, oh, that's a nice flame. Like that looks good. You know, it's coming out. It may, and then I'm, you know what I'm looking at? Maybe right here. Is that too bright? Right there in the middle. Let's knock that down. So I just go to these and adjust them, paint them in, paint them out. Make that brush smaller. Maybe I won't. Oops. Again, make sure you have a weird color because I do this all the time and I hit the wrong thumbnail. But yeah, so there we go. I want that out there. Now, the other thing that is very important, and I'll turn on mine. Variety. And you can do variety with very limited idea, like very limited. I don't want this to start happening. You got this, got these 2 layers. Yeah, and then I copy and paste those 2 layers, and then I'm just gonna like put that there. And then I'm gonna do another one here and another one here. As you can see, I just made 4 flames in a row. This doesn't look like real life. Like there's nothing awesome about that. But then you'd be like, well, how do I adjust and change it? Well, you can just start messing around. Like, let's turn off everybody, these 2. I can use this again. But what if I'm going to zoom in and maybe can I try to put it, I'm going to grab these 2 layers and I'm going to put it behind my text. That's a start. And then the other one, I'm going to lower them. So I see that part. So now I'm not necessarily referencing in my mind all that. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to like take some of this out. But now I'm looking at that P and that P looks cool. Like maybe I'll have it wisping out. So then I'm just going to go to these 2 layers and the layer masks. And I'm going to start filling in again. Let's get rid of this stuff. And I'm just switching back and forth. And I don't want anything I don't want. Like if this little thing on the H, do it on one layer, do it on the other layer. And then I want like the P, I want it coming out. And I don't want many distractions. I want people to like maybe pinpoint that it looks like it's coming out. And then you can go and like paint on the edge, like change some of the stuff here. And like maybe, like just kind of lighten some stuff so it doesn't look, I don't want it to look just like the other one, So now these 2 are unrecognizable as the same flame. And you can turn some stuff sideways. You can, this is one where you can stretch, like if I had this and, I'm going to delete the layer, so I'm just kind of starting new with one. I have to start with the same layer math, like it is a flame. And so what if I did stretch it? That's one, like this is one where I'm like, it's arbitrary. It does look a little different, but like, okay, how's that looking? Like, and then, or what if I reversed it? That was a full reverse. Edit, transform, flip horizontal. Oh, and then look, like that one looks like it's blowing in from the side a little bit. And then so I can like take that, make that smaller and be like, okay, I want that coming from the P like that, like, and then just going to start there. Image or layer mask, reveal all. And then just start painting again, I'm gonna tap it down. I want that right on that P, I would turn off my show transform controls so I don't see that. Go to my brush and just get rid of all this stuff. Oh, I went too far. Change it from white to black. Get that filled in. I want it to look like that. Yeah. No, I don't want that one. This one. And that's all this is. This is just like and having fun. Like I always like to soften the edges, especially if it's flamed, you know what I mean? Like there we go. That one's on fire. that may be like, I think that's too opaque for me, but that's what we want to see. So like blending and as close to realism as you can get. And it's all about like using those layer masks. We don't want to see repeats, you know, even though like you can find more flames online, pexels.com, like all those places I've been telling you, like find some other flames. You don't have to use what I gave you. Play around. It's all about like just learning how to play around, use those layer masks and get things to start to look like as real as you think you can make them, I guess is the best way as you think. But a big part is like, it's never the first thing, you know? It's never the first time. Like, oh, I did it. Like, I still want to like look at that. I'm like, okay, wait, what if I do something else to it? Like, turn that one off, and then that one's set for lighten. This color one might look better, and like, oh, how does it? Does it even change it? Not really, I guess. But I tried something new. You want it more barbecue? I don't know, like orangey. There's hard light that were, you know, some of them blow out. What I mean by blow out is like, this looks obvious to me, too cartoony. So, and then so then this is the crazy part. Here's I would never have thought of this, but then Halloween's coming up, and you want to make an invite. It's a flame, and all I did, what did I do? Oh, you make it like coming out of the H. I used a regular flame, and I hit subtract, and look how, you know, like, oh, and then there's the mystical. So many things you can do to like play around with that stuff. But there's that like gross dark stuff. And you how do you know about doing it? Playing around. What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I do this? What if I do that? So there you go. Start to learn those layer masks. Start to play with the layer masks. Play around. This is just playing around. It's like getting it to look the best you think you can. There's sort of no right and wrong, but I'm just trying to show you like how to get it better and better and better. And the other one is practice and not rushing it. Take your time, have some fun. The other one is like, and I say this a lot, and this will be my final comment, is work on it, save it, work on something else. Come back to it and look at it again with a different perspective, meaning you waited a day. Start on it today, and then do some work, and then put it away. And then tomorrow, open it up again, and you'll be like, oh, you know what? I think I want to try something. Give yourself some time. If you just try to knock all this stuff out all at once, it's not going to look as good. So there you go. Have fun. That's what it is. Have fun. Play around. Have fun. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, you know how to get a hold of me. And I will talk to you later. Bye.